So tell us the premise of PsyWar, PsyOps War, and I noticed the forward by General Michael Flynn.
So it's easier to explain the genesis. And the term PsyWar is not something that we invented. It's a term that's the U.S. military psychological warfare unit in Fort Bragg, which is the kind of the lead unit in the Army PsyWar. It's the lead division in the Army PsyWar infrastructure. Many of them are, matter of fact, most of the infrastructure and capabilities and personnel in U.S. Army PsyWar capabilities are in the Army Reserve, and there's a very large operation, as you might well imagine, at Moffett Field, basically adjacent to Silicon Valley. So the genesis of this was, we all. I'll put it this way: we all have our defense mechanisms, right? You, as a physician, you understand that well. And you understand that there are some defense mechanisms that are more adaptive and some that are less adaptive. And one of them that is kind of midway towards more adaptive is intellectualization. And that happens to be, no surprise, my go-to defense mechanism. And as I started speaking out and received so much hate and coordinated weaponized media against me and so many other things, all of the deplatforming, etc. Having been through multiple outbreaks before, including named pandemics, and being a bit of a specialist in this, I'd never encountered anything like this in the past. And I kind of, Jill and I, since we'd started writing on Substack before the Rogan hit happened, that kind of transformed everything, we had started writing about what we were observing, not just among ourselves, but many other physicians and scientists. We could see they were experiencing similar things, so it wasn't anything particularly targeting me necessarily, but rather more general. And writing essays about this, writing essays about the law having to do with defamation and slander, etc. It just is an attempt to make sense out of what we were experiencing. As I say, that's my kind of go-to, is to intellectualize things. And as time progressed, and it became clear that this is before the Twitter files and those various disclosures that happened after Elon Musk purchased Twitter. And reflecting back on my own experience, particularly in servicing one of my clients in my consulting business, that was called Behavior Matrix, that produced technology and software that's used by most of the military grade social media platforms, which is to say all of them, including Twitter, and how that worked. I started kind of diving deeper into the literature of information control and propaganda, particularly propaganda. And as I did so, I encountered peer-reviewed and academic work having to do with fifth generation warfare, which is now integrated as part of the doctrine of warfare in NATO. It's a core component of NATO warfare doctrine now, hybrid warfare they call it, where you combine both kinetic and psychological warfare. And as I read through this and began to grapple with the meaning of what I was learning, I realized that what I and those around me and the rest of the world really had been experiencing was something much deeper than just these instances of bot farms and trollery and coordinated corporate media messaging, defamation, attacks, slander, etc. It was much broader and much deeper than that, and that it was all consistent with this military grade technology that had been developed largely at US and UK in collaboration, and really in many ways with the UK leading it in areas like nudge technology. And so we began writing about this more and more on Substack. And after we finished up and published, and I did the rounds to promo the initial book, Lies My Government Told Me, uh, we kind of turned to what's the next one. And Jill, my partner, decided that she was going to collect all of these various essays that we had written that related to psychological warfare and build a table of contents around them and structure them. And as that project kind of started to mature, it was clear that we had a major volume, and it was something that didn't exist. I don't want to do stuff that other people have published. That the Michael Flynn, which is why I asked Flynn to write the foreword, had after I had started lecturing on psychological warfare, which was another key moment, particularly a lecture in Stockholm, where I was speaking to about 500 or 600 people, and I decided to deploy, lay out the basic thesis that what we had been experiencing was psychological warfare based on military grade technology that had been weaponized against the citizens of Western nation states. And the audience was gobsmacked with that. They were just stunned. And I realized that I had touched a raw nerve. And so, we continued to pursue this, continued our investigations and our efforts to comprehend. And that eventually led to the book and rewriting a lot of that older stuff and structuring it and then filling in the blanks with new chapters. And that's what gives rise to the book. The intent of the book is to help the reader to better comprehend the nature of this technology, who's deploying it, and what their overall objectives are, which is a hard thing. It's the big lift that I used to get all the time on podcasts. Basically, the question, who's the puppet master? And that's become more clear over time. But the book is partially an answer to that question and is, as I say, designed to help the reader along to understand the nature of this tech, how powerful it is, how it integrates with many things that they experience in their lives, like surveillance capitalism, the business model that drives Silicon Valley, like psychological bioterrorism, the process and phenomena that underlies the constant existential messaging, threat and death messaging regarding a whole bunch of topics, of which infectious disease is one, climate change is another one. Uh, um, and so this, once you can see through and understand the tech and a lot of these things, like a term that's overused these days and often misused, the limited hangout. People are, for some reason, there's now a huge push to weaponize limited hangout, and it's being tossed around all the time and deployed against people as a kind of an aggressive thing, replacing the former generalized attack term, controlled opposition. Now, instead of accusing people of being controlled opposition, they're being accused of being a limited hangout or promoting limited hangouts. I was just with Brett Weinstein yesterday and the day before, and he's getting that all the time. It's being deployed against Bobby Kennedy, many people. So once you understand the nature of these terms, their origins, things like Operation Mockingbird, the history of the involvement of the CIA in manipulating media and information, then in the nature of propaganda, the structure that goes back to Bernays' classic book, which was really quite naive in retrospect. For instance, he thought that the press would never act on behalf of the government. Clearly, that one was a miss. But things like the basic structure of white, gray, and black propaganda. Once you understand this language and you understand the structure and terms, and the methods, then it becomes much more transparent. Just like as we have all grown up here in the West, particularly in the United States, with Madison Avenue and their various methods of selling us everything from lipstick to hamburgers to automobiles to presidents. Uh, we have grown up with this, and many of us are much more resistant to variety of different types of marketing methods. And so the hope is that by helping people to see this new iteration, this more advanced version, in how it's done and who does it, then they can become a lot more resistant to it and hopefully better able to think for themselves.
If you liked this video, check out the full interview. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you get notified every time a new video is uploaded. Thanks for watching.